Hello, everyone. Welcome to Telling Tales, atmospheric tabletop role-playing Twitch people. Hi, how are you? How are you tonight? It's Symbaroum, because it's Wednesday night, and unlike every other stream I think I've ever done, or at least our campaign streams, I'm not going to start this one by introducing the stream manager, because the stream manager is actually playing a character tonight, so he's going to have to wait his turn like everyone else. But in the meantime, we have some promo to do. Down below, there's a bunch of links. Links to our Twitch and our YouTube. And probably not links to our Twitch. Oh, yeah, there will be if it starts over. Links to our Twitch and to our YouTube. You're watching on one. Why not check out the other? In particular, our YouTube has hours and hours and hours and hours of lovely video-on-demand content for you now, if you want to go check that out. There's links to our social media, to our Patreon, to our Discord, doing the things that those things do. Come join us on them if you're interested in what we're doing. Yes. It'd be great. We normally run 3 weekly shows. We're in a little bit of a hiatus, a weekly hiatus, and just running 2 of them at the moment, but a third one will appear next week. Monday nights is currently Shadows of Esterin, run by Johnny. That started this last Monday, which is kind of low gothic horror fantasy thing. Wonder where he got the idea for that. No, of course. This sounds terrible if I'm just on screen by myself. Saying sarcastic insults to the rest of my crew without other people to play off me. I'm getting furious things gesticulated at me now from the webcams below. Carry on, Matt. So that's on Monday. Shadows of Esterin. It's wonderful and thoroughly distinct from Symbaroum in every way, and Johnny runs that one. Wednesdays is obviously Symbaroum. That's what you're here for, I hope. And starting next week, we're going to have a series of old school World of Darkness story arcs on Thursdays. And that's going to be a lot of fun. It's something I've been planning for a long, long time, and we're pretty excited to get it going. There'll be teaser trailers and promo stuff abounding for that this week. So keep your eye out for that and tune in next week. Yeah. In addition to that, we run weekly one-shots, not weekly, monthly one-shots on the first Saturday of every month, the next one of which is a week on Saturday. That's Saturday the 6th of November, where we'll be playing Dune, because, we are slaves to trends, etc. Chris will be running that one, who's a regular player here on Wednesday nights. And yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. There'll be worms and spice and possibly some other things as well. Sand. Yes. Okay, let's bring an end to this absolute catastrophe of an introduction sequence by bringing on the players one by one, going through a recap of last week's events, and then cracking on with our next Symbaroum episode. We're going to start by bringing on someone who's not doing a recap, though. Let's bring on Mike, who's missed last... I think it only actually worked out. It was one session, didn't it, Mike? Because we took last week off. But yeah, Anton, who has been making himself busy elsewhere for a session or so, but will be returning tonight. Our resident Theurg, Mana Prios, holy mercenary. I don't know how would you describe Anton right now, Mike?
Traveling, wandering. I was going to say do-gooder, but I'm not sure he's done any good. I think he's got aspirations of being a traveling, wandering do-gooder.
He's a violent, wandering friar. Yeah. That's a hell of a thing to have on your CV. So let's bring on our next player, Chris, who plays Steo, our resident curmudgeon, former town guard, and now full-time sellsword. Chris, why don't you let us know where we picked up last week, or last session anyway?
So we, by process of elimination, and by process of the fact that we were all kind of wanted persons, decided to skip town and head to Glimmerval to look into the one remaining leads that we had, a colleague of the young priest lady who we found dead at the bottom of the hole, and was a consort to elves, it seems. So we all rented horses, and we went out the long road. Between Glimmerval and Thistlehold is...
I'll just step in before we confuse people further to say it's Glimmervan. Otherwise, people will get up in arms, and rightly so.
Between those two settlements that Matt has just named we stopped off at another settlement that some of the people watching and playing will remember. That is Jacket's Heart. Upon approach to, I mean, this is basically the Ambrian equivalent of an Apple Green service station. It's kind of where you stop to get some nice lunch and maybe take a little break. On approach, we saw that the camp was kind of being scouted by some sketchy-looking creatures, and we decided to split the party, and we sent the sneaky person and the clunky lady to look at that, while myself and Anton kind of went into the inn, reacquainted ourselves with the Patreons who kind of still owe us a favor, and had some lunch.
Sure. Not to contradict you, but that's not how it happened at all. Yes, you arrived there, you all had lunch, and then you were told by one of the people who ran the place that it seemed to be being watched, and a bunch of you went out to kind of look at that, while some people stayed behind to guard. Stephen, let's bring on our third player, who plays Alindra, the former novice Templar. So how did looking for people creeping on the place go?
Yeah, for former novice Templar and current clunky lady. So there is a sort of a palisade around the inn, and we had heard that there were some sketchy characters outside. We headed out, sort of crashed through the undergrowth a bit, and disturbed what appeared to be, I think it was 2 goblins and an ogre, as I recall, and they were dressed in kind of raggedy yellow and brown rags, very kind of rough looking, unusual dress. They ended up running off down the road, jumping on a couple of horses that had been posted there, and some kind of riders like scoping the place out, and they all disappeared back off to the east in the sort of direction of Thistlehold. We went and explored the woods to see if there was any evidence of what they'd been up to, and as I recall, we didn't really find anything. So we went back to the pub.
That's right. The clothing is as you described, but the only thing in addition is they have like a red mark, yes, kind of like daubed across the center of their because they're all kind of wrapped up and masked with just their eyes showing, with this red daub in the center of it. The other thing I'd mention, in case anyone has missed the session and is confused as to why the hell there's an extra player, so as well, on your way out of Thistlehold, you were joined. Well, let's bring that player on to explain why they're part of the party, and also what happened next in this increasingly disarrayed recap session. So John, who plays Aaron Dar, last scion of the noble house of Dar, why don't you fill us in on those things?
So I'd sort of joined the group because the session before I'd agreed to speak to Serex Atio, who is a large, drunk, violent friend of mine that Steo in particular had slightly gotten on the wrong side of. And I owed Steo a favor, so I spoke to him, and it apparently went very well. But for unrelated reasons, I decided to leave Thistlehold for an amount of time, and heard that this lot were leaving via the town guard, and went to catch them up. So after we left Jacket's Heart, we moved on to Glimmervan, found ourselves a table and food at the Glimmervan Inn, where Steo, in passing conversation, mentioned to the landlady that we were looking for someone. Not much longer after that, a man who I don't think he's officially the sheriff of Glimmervan, but who is an authority figure, turned up and told us that we had better not be planning on any form of violence, and that maybe we should do our business and then leave quite quickly.
Yeah, a sort of
pretty
polite
much it.
suggestion.
Yeah. So with his escort, he showed us to the person we were trying to find, a man called Arkle, who had been previously friends with Anadea, the dead priest lady, who had returned to Glimmervan because his father had recently died and he'd taken over the farm. We sat down, talked with him a bit, sadly told him that his friend had perished in the sinkhole, and I don't think he really managed to give us too much information about what Anadea had
No,
been up to.
not
At
really.
least not before there was the sounds of something hard and heavy.
Well, yeah, you had been invited into the farmhouse with him and his family, and then events, it's safe to say, escalated. Let's bring on the final player, Sam, who plays Ascarai, our changeling ranger and scout. Sam, what happened then?
So yeah, we were just kind of talking. I think we first kind of heard some noise, and then it kind of became apparent that I think we heard the sound of someone outside being like attacked or hurt, and kind of almost at the same time there had been like people outside, I think, who we'd seen coming in, but then it became apparent very quickly that somebody or some people were trying to, had started a fire with the intent of kind of burning down the building that we were in, and had also kind of barricaded the door somehow from the outside. So we kind of went into not panic mode, but action stations. And I think it was Alindra and Aaron, as well as Arkle at some point, who were trying to like batter through the door. Steo managed to, with his spear that has no backstory other than one campaign's worth, managed to destroy the.
Oh no, Sam's having issues tonight, folks. I don't know if he's just dropped off completely or whether just his cam's gone. Yeah, his
against my spear before he left, though.
Yeah, Sam is definitely having hardware issues tonight of one kind or another. So apologies for that. We take 1 week off, and everything falls apart. So in Sam's absence, I'll wrap up his. Oh, he might be back. No, I'll wrap up his recap for him. So essentially, yeah, the farmhouse is on fire. Unknown assailants are outside. The door has been barricaded. Arkle's family, who were at first obviously terrified, and children had to be persuaded to stop, to actually move and not cower, holding onto inconveniently heavy furniture. A hole has been poked in the roof. Ascarai's left through it and started attacking already, like firing his bow at those outside. And I think that all the children are now out and are kind of like scampering along the roof to try and escape from the combat. And then all I can think of otherwise is that I think Alindra is in the process of hacking down the door. And Aaron and Steo is are. You know what? I think Steel was also battering at the door, and I think Aaron's just finished passing small children up to escape.
I'm going to naysay that because I've been planning my escape through this roof hole for about 14 days now, and I'm looking forward to it.
Fair enough. That is fair enough. And I suddenly realized that a random number on my note sheet that I just crossed out going, that's not anything, is the health of the door. So that will be good. Sam will be with us. He's probably just having to set up his phone to do this on, rather because his PC is being an arse. But either way, he will be with us shortly, I'm sure. Okay, there we go. So, shall we have initiative up, please? and you can go ahead and add Anton onto it, because Anton will be in this scene, whether he likes it or not. Anton had remained behind at Jakad's heart because it was showing signs of the shrine there becoming active again, kind of more water of the dusk being produced, and Anton had stayed behind to kind of take a look at this. But we won't go into too much detail about that right now. What we'll just say is that Anton, kind of having a look at the shrine, took maybe less time than you anticipated, and you decided to travel to Glimmervan that evening rather than kind of the next day. You'd made good time there on your hired horse, and basically had pointed out to you where your friends had gone, which is like a farmstead just to the south of Glimmervan, and had made your way there as as basically night is encroaching, but it's a fairly safe area, and you're just kind of clip-clopping along a country road in the dark. But it's less dark than it perhaps should be, as Mike just is struck with hilarity at my use of the term clip-clopping as a verb.
No, it was just, everything's fine. It's a normal night in Glimmervan, and then suddenly burning farmhouse out of nowhere.
Exactly. You kind of, you come over a rise, and ahead of you in the valley below, you can see this farmhouse kind of erupting in fire. You can see shadowy shapes moving around it. And you know what? Before we go full pelt into the turn order, which is good because Askarai is first, let's go to Mike. And what's Anton going to do at the sight of this?
I'm on a horse, right? So I'm going to full pelt gallop towards this, and I don't know if it's possible to cast my blessed shield at the same time, but if I can, I will.
Yeah, right. I think that's perfectly reasonable. So the kind of layout of the land between you and this thing is obviously there are some fields between you and the farmhouse. To get over them, you'd have to get the horse to leap over the fence. The other option is to carry on down the road and then kind of turn the horse into the gate on the farm fence. Is there any particular... Which of those are you doing, I guess?
Oh man, I don't feel like Anton is a super experienced horse rider. It's not normally...
I'll definitely make you roll to get the horse to leap for sure.
Oh man, but it's a burning building, so time's of the essence. I think it's worth having a go at trying to jump.
Sure,
take the most direct route.
Well, I will say that I think it's your pick of either persuasive or strong as to what you want to roll to get the horse to follow your instructions. I'd say you don't know the horse, so it's going to be that's a -1, and also it's nighttime and the horse has probably got the scent of burning in its nostrils. So I'm going to add another. It's going to be -3, whatever it is.
Okay, so I need to roll a 7 or under, and that's a 19. So this
that's not a 7 or under.
The horse is famously not easily persuadable.
Absolutely, especially by reason and logic. So you turn your horse at kind of the fencing, and it just balks and shies away. You're going to have to ride down, either get off the horse or ride down the roadway and turn into the farm.
I think it would probably still be faster to stay on the horse and just ride around. So
almost certainly it would be, yeah. And as you're riding down there, you know what? Go ahead and make that roll for Blessed Shield if you want.
No, I don't make that either. Roll a 15, so that ain't good.
Mike coming back to the story with some classic Anton.
Guys, it's great to be back. I'm in my happy place.
We've missed you. So. You ride down that roadway, obviously too frantic and concerned to be able to string your prayers together properly. And you turn into that gatehouse, and you know what? The kind of pathway up to that farmhouse is not very long, and you can see quite well now that there are quite a few people outside that farmhouse, sort of scattered around. They're all armed. They're all wearing, they're dark. They look like maybe all black clothes, but you can't quite tell in the flames. Just dark clothing, maybe. They're, as I say, all armed, all quite young looking, and in addition to that, you can see some smaller forms kind of like running along the roof and kind of jumping off the end. You don't know who those are, but what you do see is quite a familiar form kind of standing silhouetted against the flame on the farmhouse roof, apparently having come out from it with a bow. And as you kind of round the corner onto that pathway leading up to the farmhouse, you see one of the assailants, one of the people burning the house, kind of reel back with an arrow in their shoulder, kind of. So clearly, Askarai is doing his business. Yeah, and you know what? As you round in, I'm probably going to. Yeah, I'm probably going to have one of the assailants take a pot shot at you as you're approaching. And it seems like we've got Sam on voice, just not on cam. So that's good. Hi, Sam. How are you?
Hello. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay, good. I will hopefully get my camera set up soon, but in the interest of being here for a combat round.
Absolutely, that would be handy. But first of all, let's have an attack on Anton. And you know what? I think this is. I'm going to give bonus to avoiding this because someone's firing a crossbow at you, but you've just rode in. You're riding at speed. You know it's dark. So if you can roll your defense at a +5, because I think it's a very hard shot to make for them.
It's a 20.
Good.
I've rolled high, which in Symbaroum is low.
Yes.
That ain't good.
Absolutely. Can you roll your armor for me, please? Which, of course, does not have Blessed Shield because you failed that roll.
Classic Anton.
This is so on brand for Anton. 1d4, 4. Okay, well that's something.
Okay, that's not bad. In that case, you're just going to take 4 toughness.
Oh, just 4. Great.
Yeah. As you kind of start, making your way along this pathway, you feel something kind of impact into your side by your ribs. And you kind of look down and see the short tail of a bolt just emerging from your side. You kind of had to reel in the saddle and hold on, but you have managed to kind of hold on and not tumble off this horse. So that's something. But yeah, not an auspicious start to the combat tonight. But one perhaps we should have anticipated. So Askarai, you have a number of individuals down below you. One of them you've already wounded with an arrow. You can see a figure on a horse, kind of like approaching chaotically from behind the group. Do you want to fire twice at the man on the horse? Is that what you want to do?
I imagine. Well, maybe I can't see that he's been shot. I don't know. Could I see that? Got shot?
I'd say you can. Yeah, I'd say you saw one of the individuals carrying a crossbow kind of reel round and fire a bolt off at the person on the horse. So clearly, they're not like the ringleader or whatever.
Okay, the figure on the horse looks like a heroic, helpful figure to me. You know, a stunning silhouette in the night sky. So I wouldn't fire at him, whoever it could be. I'm gonna instead fire probably at the one I already shot at.
Sure.
And I think, do I still get advantages on these?
Yeah, you're still up high from them. So you're rolling. Yeah, it's an advantage. We determined it's an advantage to roll from a height, isn't it? Yeah, you're rolling an advantage, and the defense is +1, so you also get that.
Okay, so I think that's +3 because the advantage is +2.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Right? I think. Yes, +2 and plus D4 to damage.
Okay, I rolled a 6 to hit, and my damage is a D10 plus 1 plus a D4.
Nice.
I get a total of 6, which is pretty bad roll. But
Well, it's enough. The individual you hit before, you essentially put another arrow an inch to the right of the one already, and that one went in their shoulder. This one goes kind of right between their collarbones into their throat, and the young man kind of collapses back on the ground, kind of his sword rolling off to the side. Clearly not a concern anymore. You now have a little bit of a better sense of the assailants. Young men and women, kind of all dressed in very similar kind of like black clothes, black cloaks. Not to say they are the black cloaks. They certainly look too young to be those. They have a general kind of like scrubbiness around them, but at least armed and armored fairly well, or at least consistently. You can't count the exact number, but you think, a pitched figure of around 10 might not be wrong. At least 2 of them are wielding crossbows.
okay. I think I would use my second shot to shoot at somebody with a crossbow.
Yeah, that seems to make sense. So why don't you roll that up? And it's going to be exactly the same advantage with a +1 for their defense.
Okay, nice. I rolled a 6 again, which makes it. And for damage, I get 6 again.
6 again. Well, that is over their pain threshold, not matching it.
Nice.
So would you like another shot, or would you like to knock them prone?
I think I will take another shot.
That seems very sensible to me. So why don't you just give me another shot?
Okay.
All going to be dead by the time everyone gets out from the inside.
I rolled a 16, which just about hits. And for damage, please not a 6. I got an even worse damage roll, 4.
Well, that's enough.
Okay.
So yeah, you the one. Let's say it's the one who fired the crossbow at the figure on the horse, and you just put 2 arrows in their back, and they tumble forwards and land quite an awkwardly on their crossbow. Though you think that's perhaps the least of their worries. And yeah, two of the assailants, 2 of the hall burners, are face down in the dirt. Elindra, inside in a farmhouse on fire, hacking away at this door. Are we going to continue that course of action?
Under the circumstances, I think so. Yeah.
I'd say that only one person per round can get up and out of that thing in the roof, so it might be a good call. In addition, I think we are now. This is the 3rd round. Yeah.
I think so. Am I right in recalling that not everybody in the farmhouse has got up through the roof? Are there still people at ground level?
Correct. Arkle and his mother are still clambering up.
Yeah.
And Steo and Aaron are kind of alongside you as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, it might be a good idea to carry on. So I take it you're going to wail away at this door one more time?
Yeah, like logic dictates, because there's something heavy resting up against the door. Mm-hmm. Logic dictates that I should sort of just shoulder barge that, but game mechanics dictate that I would be better off with a sword.
Sure. I mean, you think if you hack the door to splinters, whatever is heavy will be movable or will come through or whatever. Yeah.
Cool. So let's attack the door.
Sure. I think I can't remember if we settled on. Can anyone remember how I settled on the roll to hit the door? I think I just gave it like an escalating plus to it or something.
I mean,
that seems familiar.
Static target, but
yeah. Roll it at a +4.
Okie dokie.
Yeah, the roll isn't so much to hit it as it is hitting it in a useful way.
Yeah, hitting it well. Yeah, that is a success.
Yeah. Have you got your Revenant Strike running? Do we remember that?
I don't have that up right now.
That's fine.
Because
then
I figured that would freak the family out.
Yeah, that's fair. Then just go ahead and roll damage.
All right. That's a 6.
That is the perfect amount. The farmhouse door comes apart in a welter of flames and smoke, and chunks of wood. What they rammed up against the door was a small wagon, which with your final stroke, as it's resting on the door, kind of tips over to the side slightly as your blade had sheared through one of the wheels. And kind of, it's a little bit of a clamber to get out, but not like what I'd call an obstacle, you know what I mean? You can now see everything ahead of you. Obviously, people were looking through the windows and just saw kind of vague forms amidst the flames, but now you can see this group of individuals. You can see a figure on a horse behind them. You can see a couple of them dead on the ground with arrows stuck in them. And but also because you can now take a movement action.
Yep.
Before you do so, please roll give me a D4 roll for your damage for smoke inhalation.
Ooh. 4. Oh dear.
No armor for that, for obvious reasons.
So I just take that.
Yep. Maybe it's you weren't paying attention to how much you were taking big gulping lungfuls as you were heaving the sword, and you find yourself coughing and spluttering. Presumably, I'm assuming you're gonna get out.
Yes, I'm gonna get out, and if there's anybody within near enough to the door for me to engage, I will do that. But presumably,
absolutely they are. You can't strike, but absolutely you can engage. Let's just say engage one of the person remaining with the crossbow will be standing behind the others. So, let's engage someone. You step forward and kind of half stumble, half like pitch yourself over the mass of burning wagon, and you find yourself face to face with a young man with a kind of scrubby beard, kind of black featureless clothes, kind of hefting a sword and a shield and striking towards you. Can you give me a vigilant roll at -5, please?
I mean, I can try. Yeah, that's a fail.
Yeah, never mind. Aaron, Alindra has battered her way through the door. I don't think no one was up in the rafters yet, were they? Everyone was down below. So yeah,
I think so. Were Arkle and his mother up in the rafters, or are they?
I think his mother was up in the rafters and is about to exit, and Arkle is down below because he helped her up. But he's now looking towards the door.
Okay.
But everyone can go out the door on their turn. It's fine. There's no limitation.
I was wondering if I needed to help the old lady.
No. She's
okay.
fine.
In that case, I will rush out, and if there is someone to engage them.
There definitely is. You dash out. Are you engaging the same person as Alindra or a different individual?
I will go for a different individual so that there's not a chance of people being ganged up on.
Absolutely.
Whatever. I'll go for a different individual.
Sure. So you dash out and kind of see Alindra kind of like hefting her sword towards someone, step to the side and duck in, and there's a young woman fighting you with a kind of pair of hand axes who quite gladly dives towards you with a look of some glee on her face. So you can go ahead and attack. So her defense is +1.
Okay. So 16, only 17. I've somehow completely forgotten how everything works in the past 2 weeks, so bear with me.
Okay.
That is a 4, so that is a pass, and that is 11 damage.
You roll your damage with your stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
It's an old trick someone taught me when I played D&D.
Yeah. No, absolutely. 11. Wow. That's very, very good. I
rolled D12s now.
Oh, because you've leveled up your dually thing. Yeah, absolutely. So that is unsurprisingly past their pain threshold. He said, suddenly realizing he's not been using their armor, but that's fine. Another hit or knocking her prone?
Another hit.
Go for it. Still at +1.
That's 5, and that's another 11 damage.
Good lord. So you kind of leap out of the burning farmhouse. The woman kind of screams slightly and flails towards you. You come to your feet on the smoking grass underneath you. Immediately adopt your Ambrian dueling stance, and as she comes in, you've done this 1,000 times before with relatively unskilled people. One step to the side, one thrust, and as she staggers past you, already probably mortally wounded, you flick your blade behind and impale her through with it again and step forward to meet another opponent. For anyone watching, they can just see this woman. You just see Aaron's blade flickering, and the woman kind of like her shriek of battle turns into a wail of pain, and she just kind of stumbles forwards and collapses into the flaming farmhouse. Okay. Chewing through these guys. And we have Steo next.
I'm going to make a quick roll to get out the hole.
Well, you'd have to climb up first.
Yeah, but if I make a quick roll, can I do both?
I mean, it will be a movement action to climb up.
Yeah. Okay, so let's do it however you wish. I wish to be on.
It's
the roof.
not how I wish. I'm just telling you, it's an action to climb up first. That's all.
Cool. Let's do it.
Yeah, give me a quick roll.
Okay, 10 or less, 9 or less because of elderly. Oh, hello, friend.
Yeah, you have climbed up and you are in the rafters.
And then I'll use my second action to get onto the roof.
Okay. You dash out. You're alongside Ascarai now on the roof. I should have said... Sorry?
Any immediate sign of the kids? They're all hopefully safe.
I don't think you can even see them anymore. I think they've scampered off kind of the side of the roof along the other way and kind of have vanished off into the darkness. I should say, by the way, both Aaron and Steo will need to roll a d4 for smoke inhalation.
Good point.
Ooh, we have a raid. Welcome, folks.
2 points of damage
to get the black.
Friendly Steo.
I also got 4 damage, which is ouch.
That doesn't hit anyone's pain threshold, does it?
No.
Okay.
Was
fine.
I know I'm plot still injured from my previous adventure. Good.
No. You are not. You have not taken any toughness for that. So there we go. Okay, so yes, Steo has got out onto the roof and is alongside Ascarai now. And Tom.
Am I still on my horse? I think I am.
You are still on your horse. You've easily seen everything. You can see all that happening a lot clearer than they can see you because all this is backlit by the fire.
Is there a sort of penalties for like fighting on a horseback? Because I don't recall us ever doing this before.
I don't think there's anything inherent, but I would probably apply some from the fact that you're not a particularly accomplished horseman.
Yeah, that's a good point. I might dismount.
Sure. Yeah. I think because your horse can move fast as well, I'm happy for you to engage someone if you want to engage someone.
Yeah, I'd like to do that.
Okay. The closest person to you is also wielding a crossbow, just so you know.
That's fine.
Our initiative order, John, does not appear to have the actual enemies on it.
Yes, that was because I think they weren't on last time because we weren't outside, and you haven't told me what they're called in order to add on to it.
Okay. Well, their quick is 11 and their vigilant is 13.
Got it. I will amend that now.
So I get the feeling they should probably act before Anton.
Yeah, I'm normally the last.
They are technically, in fact, ahead of Steo.
Sure. But what's done is done, so that's fine. In that case, I'm going to handle their actions. So I'm going to say that essentially everyone who is outside and on the ground, which is basically just Elindra and Aaron, are going to be engaged by one more melee opponent. And also there will probably be some shooting happening. But let's deal with those melee opponents first, and let's deal with Elindra first. Stephen, can you give me 2 flat defense rolls, please?
Sure. That is a pass and a fail.
Okay, for the fail, can you give me an armor roll, please?
Yes, that's a D8. 6.
Okay. So, yeah, obviously you've already engaged one of them. Another one kind of comes roaring into your side, kind of between you and the flaming wagon holding up the outside of the door. And one of them manages to swing a mace, and it kind of cracks against some of the kind of hanging chain on your side. And you feel like it's going to bruise in the morning, but it hasn't. The swing clearly didn't have enough heft to really do anything to you right now. So no toughness loss.
Cool.
Okay, Aaron, can you give me a defense roll, please? Just a flat one.
Okay.
Yay, we got a sound.
Yay.
We got a sound.
Sorry, I was in the middle of checking for mounted combat. My defense, I roll 13, which is a pass.
Okay, yeah, you dodge your way out of someone coming towards you with a short spear quite elegantly, again with a dueling sidestep.
I also perform a riposte, which is what
Ooh.
Master Level Sword Saint gives me, which gives me a free attack.
Go for it. Don't forget to add the +1 for their defense.
Yep. That is 8. So, yes, that is a hit with 10 damage.
So that's past their pain threshold. So another hit, I'm assuming, is what you want.
Yep. That one is also a hit with 11 damage. Last week,
What is this
can't
monster?
wrestle a small child. This week, danning enemies.
This is, I'll tell you, because Aaron has featured before in our side quest. I don't know, spin-off story we did on the Free League Twitch called Fetters of Stone, which is on our YouTube. Go check it out. And it's safe to say that Aaron, without giving any spoilers for Fetters of Stone, did not particularly impress in combat in that story. But here, Ascarai's got a rival, I think.
It's because in the other story he was the Antom of that group, but now there's an Antom in the group.
Right, he's leveled up.
Yeah.
You can't out Antom.
Oh, Mike. So, yeah, this individual with the short spear strikes for you. You grab the spear, turn it to one side, a couple of sharp thrusts in the throat, and they're kind of down to one side, clutching at their neck, barely aware of what you've done as their lifeblood drains out. So they're also dead. And now we have some ranged attacks. So let's start with a crossbow firing at Ascarai, I think that you'd be a prime target up there on the roof. So can you give me a defense roll at a... here's the thing. Do they get a disadvantage for firing up to higher? I don't see how that would work, really. No. Yeah, just a defense at a +1, please. Ascarai.
Okay. I made it. I rolled a 9.
Lovely. The crossbow bolt sails past you, presumably into the increasing conflagration behind you. And finally, and I'm going to have to look up some rules briefly for this to see what happens with this specific mystical ability or mystical power when when an enemy uses it. Like, is it an actual attack roll? Or is it just... Because some mystical powers are kind of equivalent to attack rolls, and some of them just kind of happen, and they don't really have to check for that. It is always interesting when I do this, because obviously in Symbaroum you're not really meant to roll dice as the GM, yet surely when an enemy uses a mystical power, I have to roll against their resolute to see if it triggers. One would imagine.
Unless it's like something that is cast on one of us, in which case I guess we could roll.
You could roll
like
it.
the inverse of what they're supposed to.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Oof. Ouch. Yeah. So I'm going to say that this is probably also on Ascarai. I think he's drawn a lot of attention. So the hit is automatic, but of course, yes, we have to check to see if their resolute is rolled. So like you say, let's inverse it. And you know what? Their resolute's 10, so that makes it nice and easy. It's the same roll, right? So Ascarai, why don't you try and get 10 or under for this mystic among your attackers to not achieve their power.
Is this on resolute that I'm rolling?
Not on your resolute. You're rolling for theirs, essentially.
Okay.
So you just need 10 or under.
All right. I will do my
Like you say, an inverse roll that you do feels nicer than...
Yeah. Okay. I rolled a natural 20. All right. Yeah.
Well, it doesn't have any further effect, but still. You see one individual kind of step out from among the mass of people, like the generally growing melee below, and they kind of, with like one hand gesturing towards you, they seem to be holding some kind of organic material that seems to be writhing slightly in the flickering light from the farmhouse fire, and they kind of crush whatever it is in their hand, and you feel a sickening, wriggling, queasy pain starting inside your body. Can you take 1d4 damage, please? No armor allowed.
This sounds awful.
Mm-hmm.
I rolled a 4. Nice.
Take that 4, then. I'm assuming that's not over your pain threshold. If you had a pain threshold of 3 or less, you'd have a problem.
I think it's equal to it, but yeah, not over.
Not over. Sure. Yeah. Just so you know, that is going to continue until they fail a resolute roll affected by your strong.
Or until I shoot them to death.
Yes, that will also work. Yes, absolutely. And that might happen right now. In fact, it probably is, because I think we've handled all the cultists. Oh no, we're back onto Antom's turn, aren't we? Because we kind of jumped out of order there. So Antom, the other guy with the crossbow is probably the closest to you, but that's not to say you can, strike out at one of the others.
I'll just go for the guy with the crossbow.
Sure. Less chance of them hitting back for a start. So yeah, you can just kind of ride up to them and kind of dismount and immediately kind of like wail at them with your flail. I have zero problem with that. So why don't you go for that? It's their defense is a +1, so +1 to your roll. Well, you know what I mean. It's a good +1.
Well, I rolled a 3, so that's a good start.
Fantastic. So. What is your damage?
Sorry, I just need to refresh myself. It's a D. Is it D8 now? It's D10. D10 now. Yeah. Okay. That's a 1.
Lovely. Maybe you didn't get. God, coming up with a reason for Anton to fail every time. Maybe it's like, getting off your horse. You didn't get like you need a good wind up with a flail, right? With like maybe a 2-handed flail, like you, or maybe you're just shit. But for whatever reason, you dismount from your horse, and the flail doesn't have the strike behind it, and it clatters against. They're wearing just kind of hardened leather armor, but you get the feel they didn't really feel your blow out that much, and they're kind of like struggling to kind of like toss their crossbow aside and draw a knife on you or something like that. But they won't get round to that this turn.
That's fine. I'll get him in the next sort of 6 to 8 turns or so.
Yeah. I'm sure Ascarai will just leave them for you. Ascarai and Aaron at this rate. We have the NPCs now. The Arkel's mother and the other, the kids, none of you can see them anymore. They have kind of like departed from your vision of the scene. Arkel has barreled his way out of the farmhouse, and he's just kind of like he kind of looks around, wrenches a great heft of flaming timber off the wagon that's crashed outside, and just runs kind of screaming at one of the unengaged fighters, a woman who's kind of turns and kind of and holds up a shield just in time as he's like thrashing away at her with not a great deal of skill, but a great deal of enthusiasm. So who knows how that will work out. Yeah. Also, because I forgot to do it earlier, I would like every one of you who is now engaged with an enemy. Elindra's already done this, I think. So Aaron and Anton, I would like you to both roll vigilant at +5. -5. Yes, -5. The bad one.
That is very much a fail.
No
Yeah.
problem.
Didn't make it.
So we are back round to the beginning. Askarai, you have definitely that unpleasant churning pain in your abdomen. What are you going to do about it?
I'm going to try and shoot the guy who seems to have caused me this pain as best I can.
Sure. That's all these guys are at +1 defense. So
Okay. I got a 17, which makes it because of the advantage, just
Nice.
about. And for damage, this is the wrong dice. For damage, I roll 11.
nice. That, of course, is over their pain threshold. Would you like a free attack?
I will gladly shoot this man again. Please. I got a 16, which just about hits.
Mm-hmm.
And for damage, I get 13.
Good lord. Yeah, your first arrow kind of like transfer that hand they held out that they mulched some kind of organic stuff in. It kind of transfixes the hand and just kind of pins it to their chest. And they look down, kind of reeling back. And your second arrow just kind of directly into the top of their head. And they just kind of stagger in an almost comical way, kind of pinned in two separate ways in this hunched over fashion before toppling to the ground dead. And almost instantly the unpleasant writhing and churning sensation in you stops.
Very, very happy about that.
And you have either a movement action or another shot left, I believe.
Yeah, I'm going to shoot again. Who's around?
So you can see essentially is you can see two of these individuals fighting Elindra. You can see one of them fighting Arkle. One of them fighting who a figure you now recognize as Anton. And another one of them who's kind of like turning round and seems to be preparing to make some kind of similar kind of mystical gesture towards, I don't know. Well, there's 1, 2, 3 people engaged. So we'll roll the dice and towards Arkle. Oh, I think you're on mute.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I think that makes it an easy choice because I don't want Arkle to die, and I don't like these weird guys doing magic, so I'm gonna shoot the magic guy.
Sure, go for it.
Okay. I roll a 17 to hit, which just about hits. Thanks.
Lovely.
Advantage, and for damage, I get 13 again.
Well, there's no need to do a thing because that's an outright kill. Your arrow transfixes, just slams directly into their chest, into their heart, and they just reel over. You suspect they are gone from this world before they hit the ground. It's funny the difference having like just upping your abilities just a little bit makes, isn't it? To like getting that next adept and master levels and stuff.
The advantage also definitely helps.
The advantage is massive. Yeah. Definitely.
I'd have missed two of these shots.
Is there going to be anyone left?
Well, I mean, you've got to clamber down from the roof for a start, so that takes your movement action away from you.
I might have to like throw myself off to get a kill before all the
throw your spear like a javelin. Yeah. So I think. Don't know. Are you still with us, Sam? You're still with us. There we go. Yes. Yeah. So that's all your actions. So we're on to Alindra. You've got two of these young individuals facing you.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that I'm going to leave one of them for other people to mop up. I'm going to specifically attack the one that managed to damage me last time.
Sure.
Because,
or at least try to damage you. Yeah.
Well, one of them succeeded, so.
Didn't get past your armor though, did it?
Oh no, sorry, it was the smoke inhalation.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
You can hit the fire if you want.
No. Okay, either of them doesn't. Whatever.
Sure. Well, let's go for the one that actually struck you at least, because
Sure.
that feels.
What are they?
It's +1. They're all
Plus
defenses at
plus
+1.
one.
Yeah.
That is a fail.
Okay. So yeah, you perhaps maybe you're focused on defending yourself against these two assailants, but either way, your sword finds no target. I'm assuming are you just leaving your movement action? You're not trying to disengage or anything.
There's probably nothing useful I can do, right, other than stand my ground. Like I can't flank
probably
them
not.
if there's two of them, and
Yeah, I mean you're tanking anyway, right? So you're occupying the two of them. So yeah, there we go. And one thing you can do though is give me another vigilant roll, and this time let's say it's -4.
Sure. That is a success.
Okay. Well, you're focusing on the one that did almost strike you, and he's a young sort of man with a dark beard and closely cropped dark hair. You have seen this man before. You haven't been in Mother Mihira's agency many times, but you've seen him there in the common room.
Okay. So he's one of Mihira's sellswords, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Can I also, given that it's a free action, try some witch sight?
Yeah, go for it.
Just cause.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's vigilant against their discreet.
I believe so, and their discreet is their discreet's really good. So that's a -5. I don't know why their discreet is so good, but it is.
That's a fail.
Yeah. But yeah, a revelation of some kind at least.
Yeah.
Do you want to? Are you going to? Feel free to
It's sort of a weird thing to shout out in the middle of a fight, isn't it?
I guess so, but what's a normal thing to shout out and die or something? I suppose.
Yeah, it's behind you.
Yeah.
Escape the burning building. Yeah, no, I think we'll probably save that one for the aftermath. But
sure, that makes sense. Makes sense to me. So Aaron. You have no opponents currently. Everyone is actually engaged now. All the remaining individuals. There's 2 on Alindra, 1 on Arkle, and 1 on Anton. What would you like to do? Whichever one you engage, you'll definitely get a flanking hit on.
I will engage with Arkle.
Okay. Absolutely. Well, then, obviously their defense is a +1, but in addition, because you're flanking, that's another +2 because it's just an advantage, isn't it? Yeah. So it's a +3 in total on your attack.
Okay. That is a hit with 10 damage.
Are you aware there's an extra D4 if you're flanking?
I was not aware. That is 14 damage.
What is with the rolls? So, you stride up to the one behind Arkle, and they're not paying any attention to you whatsoever, and you just thrust through their back. You feel the slight, almost quiver and pop on the end of your blade as it pierces their heart, and again they kind of slump back against you, dead before they've kind of tumbled back towards you, and you step away and slide them off your blade. It'll probably need cleaning after this. Well, it'll definitely need cleaning. Arkle is kind of barely paying attention to what you've done and is still wailing away at the woman on the floor. He's lost it. They just tried to burn his family, So he's fairly upset.
I don't entirely know what to do about that.
I don't think you need to particularly. But that's your movement, because your movement was to engage, and then that was your combat action. So there we go. There are now 3 of them left, but we'll take. They don't seem immediately about to flee, and in fact, they're kind of all 3 of them are kind of looking around themselves and seeing them in some of themselves in fairly desperate straits. And one of them. One of the ones facing Alindra kind of looks around and cries out at the top of their lungs as a kind of rallying call to the others. Just cries out, "Erok! Erok!" Before going in to strike again. And before they strike, I would like Alindra to make a cunning roll at +2, please.
Cunning +2. Fail.
Sure, that's fine. Okay. We have actually just realised that Stephen should have got an extra chance to hit because you have two-handed force, right? It gives you the lower damage of the chance to hit.
Yes, it's a new attack roll.
That's fine. Go for it.
Only D6 damage.
Yeah, go for it. They haven't acted yet. It won't.
That's
Aaron's
a
action
1.
didn't affect you.
There
we go. Worth making. So that is a critical hit, or perfect hit, as they are in this game. So whatever you normally roll for that backhand strike, which I know is lower than your other one, is it a D8 or something?
It's a D6.
Okay, well you get an extra D6 to that for a perfect hit. So
Ooh, okay, so I got a 5 on the first D6 and a 4 on the second, so that's 9 in total.
Nice. That is past their pain threshold, obviously. So would you like another hit, or would you like to knock them prone? And this is the individual you recognized.
Ooh, so maybe worth interrogating afterwards?
Maybe. Do you want to knock them prone?
Yeah, I think we'll do that.
Sure, yeah. You backhand kind of swap, one swing misses, but the backhand carves a deep kind of scored wound across their chest and their arm, and just the brute force of it has battered them to the ground, where they kind of like drop their mace and it's rolling away, and they're just kind of clutching at their chest and howling in pain. That leaves one of them to strike at you. So if you can give me a defense roll, just a flat defense roll, please.
Flat defense roll. 1 second. Yes, yeah. I needed a 13, got a 12.
Yep, absolutely. So with a swing of their sword, they miss you. And Anton, if you can give me a flat defense roll, please.
No,
Another 20?
19.
Nearly. Getting better. One at a time. So could you give me an armor roll, please?
4.
Perfect. The crossbowman has dropped their crossbow and strikes for you with a knife, but it just kind of gets caught in the, I want to say whirling sounds like you're much more of a kind of like Yoda-like combatant than you are. It gets lost in the kind of tumbling kind of folds of your cassock and doesn't manage to actually strike underneath it at you. So you are safe and sound. These guys are fighting to the death, I think, so we will carry on. I'm sure they will die very soon, probably immediately now. Let's see. Steo, what are you going to do, friend?
I don't know if I can be much help here. I'm still gonna. Game system wise, I don't think it's logical for me to be able to enter combat this turn, because I have to get across the roof, down the roof, and into combat.
If you give me a successful quick roll, I'd say that you can move to be in engagement range.
I'll give it a go. God, here's where I roll a 1 and deeply embarrass myself. But 9
1
or
would
less,
be great.
Actually, alas, it's a 3, so I do succeed.
Damn. So yeah, Steo, I think you could. You use your spear as like you just drop your spear and like kind of pole vault yourself off the roof, or at least use it to help you get off this tumbling, flaming roof, and you find yourself on your feet, kind of like maybe feeling a bit more agile than you have in years. And ahead of you, I'd say Anton is probably too far back, but I'd say ahead of you, if you want to strike at the one remaining attacker of Alindra, I'd say you can absolutely do that. In fact, you can get 2, can't you? Because you get a free attack for engaging with long, and then also an actual attack. So
finally, it's Steo's time to shine.
Steo's time to shine. Yeah, so that's an attack at +1.
Excellent. I was about to ask. So that is still a flat 15.
Oh no, sorry, you're flanking. So sorry, I am incorrect. Because you're flanking, it's a +3.
+3, 15, 16, 17, 18 or less.
Mm-hmm.
17 or less because I'm old. 18 or less because my spear is posh. 10.
There we go. Roll that damage, please.
And this is with the D4 for advantage bonus, isn't it?
Yes, a D4 for your extra flanking damage, yeah.
Oh, the D10 was a 1.
Well, that's
and
good
the
then.
D4 was a 4. That's a total of 5.
Total of 5. Okay. Well, that's still damage. Why don't you, before I describe what happens with that, why don't you give me your actual attack rather than your long weapon attack?
Okay, my actual attack as opposed to my fake stage attack.
Sure, yeah.
19 is a fail, so that's a miss.
That is a fail, but you manage to clamber off the roof, and Elindra, you just see kind of like the copper. Is it copper or is it gold?
It's brass, it's
bronze,
copper or brass,
bronze. Like the bronze head of Steo's spear just kind of slash across the remaining man's cheek, and he kind of reels to the side, wailing and desperately trying to turn to face you both. Anton.
I'll just do an attack.
Thwack that man.
Or will I? Yes, I will.
Fantastic.
Can I do some damage though?
Yeah.
Can I?
Can you?
3.
That is damage. That's 1 damage. But I mean, 1 compared to 0 is an infinite percentage
I told you.
increase.
6 to 8 turns.
Absolutely. You will be there. Yeah, you're obviously a little bit worse for wear and have arrived in this situation in a rather flustered sense. And you're just kind of like wailing away with this flail, and he's kind of backing off, just slashing with the blade, and you're occasionally catching him here and there with several of the balls on the end of the flail, but not doing a terrible amount, but holding your own for now at least. Arkle is just kind of screaming and battering remaining corpses on the floor. There's no sign of his family, so we return back round to the beginning. I'm assuming we've got a Sam, even though his cam's given out.
Yes, I'm still here.
Good. All right, there is... Oh, you know what now? I don't think we're going to finish these guys off, right? There's only 2 of them remaining. Let's, rather than continue making rolls for stuff, are we going to try and let's say the one on the floor is not prone. I'm fine for him being like kept prone and there. The other 2 remaining ones, are we going to just kill them, or are we also going to try and keep them alive?
I think, from my perspective, I don't think I know that the guy who's prone is not dead, since I saw him get hit pretty hard and fall on the ground by Alindra.
Sure.
So I think I would try to, like, from my perspective, what I would do is try to keep one of the other ones alive at least.
Sure. That makes sense.
In the leg or something like that. I don't know.
That makes sense. And you know what? Before we discuss this even further, shall we say, the other people who are engaged in melee, can you all give me a vigilant roll at -2, -4, please?
Who are engaged in melee at any point in that?
Yeah. You can roll it as well.
-2.
I make it.
Okay.
I failed that, but I don't know if I was supposed to roll it.
Oh no, sorry, you've already passed it, so
Yeah,
it's just a recognizing them thing. John? No. Well, Anton did. Anton, the man fighting you, is a treasure hunter from Mother Mahira's agency.
Okay.
Yeah, an individual you've seen there several times, but You don't know his name, but you've seen him there. So it seems to me that Askarai's saying he'd want to keep at least one of them alive. Steo and Aaron, how are you feeling about this situation? Are you just planning on cutting these people down?
My intention was, now that we have overwhelming numbers and we can safely subdue them without killing them, I would go for the subduing so that they may suffer proper justice.
Sure. Steo, what would your thoughts be on the matter?
You're not going to last long in this party. I'm actually, I would like to make sure that the family are okay. So can I maybe just do a little cursory search for the mother and the children?
You absolutely can, but the combat is not over yet. And I'd just like to establish whether these people are dead or alive.
We significantly outnumber the combatants, and they are basically kind of cheap thugs. There's a queue to deliver the killing blow, and I'm not taking part in that.
Okay. Anton, are you just kind of you're probably just fighting for your life at this point, I would imagine.
Yeah, like always, Anton's fighting for his life.
Well, you know what we'll do? I'll just roll a die. I think I'll just roll a die, and whether they're both still alive at the end of this, or one of them's been killed, or what.
For the record, Alindra's being kind of direct. She's got one prone. She
doesn't need to save the other one. Yeah,
she's going to attempt to kill the other one.
Sure. Well, let's say, Alindra, if you're attempting to kill the other one, let's say you do just that. They're kind of fighting you desperately with Steo behind them, and you've just had enough, and you. With a few swipes of your longsword, you hack away until their shield is splinters, and then part of their arm holding the shield comes off, and then most of their throat comes out as they tumble to the ground in a spatter of gore. The one fighting Anton, though, the rest of you just kind of, along with Anton, kind of dogpile them and kind of just thrash them to the ground and throw them alongside their friend, who's still kind of clutching at this deep wound on his chest that Alindra gave him. Steo, you look over and see on the edge of the still burning conflagration of the farmhouse, you can see Arkel's family kind of standing there, kind of peering eyes wide at the shocking violence that they just witnessed in this fight. Arkel is still effectively, unless someone holds him back, he's going to start to try to batter the two remaining alive individuals on the floor, who are just kind of like hunched together and like looking over at you with fear, but also defiance.
Do you know what? I've seen this thing before, and I'm going to use my previous experience with this kind of crazy battlefield trauma to get Arkel under control.
Sure, absolutely. Why don't you make me a roll for that? And it's your choice whether you want to use, like with the horse, if you want to use persuasive or strong, because I think there are two different approaches to this.
I think it's going to have to be strong, because that is my literal strong suit.
It doesn't mean you have to be like restraining him, but it means you can be stopping him and talking him down. You know what I mean?
Getting in
the way. You're buying time for your words to work by holding back this guy. I'm going to say he's pretty strong, because he's a farmer's son, right? I'd say he's strong 13, let's say. So that's a strong roll for you at -3.
That's a 10. -1 is 9. 8. Yes.
Yeah. You absolutely kind of like, you kind of, with your spear in front of you, you're kind of like holding him back as he's desperately trying to get past you, and presumably calmly trying to say some words at the same time to get him to come back to his senses.
Did we, at any point when we were walking through Glimmervan, see like a town alarm bell or anything?
No, although that's a very good question for you to ask, Aaron. And you can see kind of further up the road, you can see lights coming towards the farmhouse at quite a pace.
Good. Okay.
How is the fire going?
You have to be off the roof by now. Well, let's say that it's
okay.
The farmhouse is collapsing in on itself. It's just a huge conflagration. There's no recovering anything.
2 for 2 times we visited Glimmervan in or directly after a house getting burnt down. Just FYI.
It's how Anton knew how to find us, right? Like,
Look for the burning house. Definitely. Yeah, who's going to engage with? I mean, obviously, Steo's holding back Arkle at the moment. His family is just like kind of looking on wide-eyed. Who's going to engage with maybe the two on the floor? Or are we waiting for this party from Glimmervan to approach?
I figured that Elindra would, having knocked the guy prone and having killed his friend, would probably just be standing on the chest of the prone guy, which is also where he's wounded. So I imagine that's quite sore.
Yeah.
And yeah, essentially just being like, who are you? Who sent you?
Can you give me a persuasive roll, please, with pluses? So I'd say a +1 for that, a +2 for that, I'd say it's a +3.
+3. Okay, so I need a 10. We get an 8.
Yeah. You're just, as you say, standing, leaning on the guy, kind of howling and kind of desperately trying to thrash at your foot to get you off. Tell me exactly what you're saying, you know?
I think we're gonna open with who are you and who sent you.
We're Eroc's disciples. Eroc, he'll have your hide.
Who is Eroc and what does he want with this farmhouse?
Right. We have rolls to make here.
Right.
So, okay, I would like one final recognizing these folks roll from everyone who hasn't made it so far. And that includes Askarai now as well. And you've got time now. So actually, I'm just going to ask for a vigilant -1 roll for the 3 people who haven't recognized them so far.
Nope. My target's a 4 and I rolled 15.
Fair enough. Then the 2 people who have recognized them, can I have a cunning roll from each of you again? But this time, because there's room to think, I'd say it's cunning at +3.
No, not for me. 18.
I just scraped through that one.
Just scraped it. Okay, Elindra, you recall something. When you first signed up for Mother Mahira's agency, it was obviously alongside these folks. So you were kind of, when you were brought in, it was with them. And you remembered you had to go talk to several of the senior members at Mother Mahira's agency, essentially to vet you. That process was quite streamlined because essentially everyone at Mother Mahira's, all the lowlier members, have a senior member assigned to them to look after them, to manage them, essentially. You know, it's your treasure hunting line manager. The one for this group and now for you as well, which is why it was streamlined, because he just said he'd take you on and it was very straightforward, is a goblin called Urfons, who it seems these group are quite close to, but you haven't interacted that much with him yourself. Another one of those senior members who looks after other individuals is Serix Atio, who we have met and are familiar with, and is the person who looks after Arin. There are several others, and one of them, who is an older, somewhat unhealthy and pockmarked individual who gave you a kind of odd feeling when you kind of walked past him when you were walking to the room of these senior individuals alongside Urfons. He's called Eroc.
Okay, so I haven't interacted with him, but I know him as one of these people that does the vetting.
Absolutely, and you know that this person is in Mother Mahira's agency.
Okay. Cool. I'm still going to ask. Okay, so in which case, I guess I know who Eric is, but like, what does Eric want with this farmhouse?
Not the farmhouse. You fools.
Why us?
There was a communication from the prince.
The prince?
Your name's on the lips of all the cults in Thistlehold. You're marked, men. And Erok will cut you down. He'll take the glory.
What prince?
You have no idea.
Okay, I'll shout to the others. Essentially,
There is no prince, incidentally. There's no prince in Ambria or anything like that.
Cool. So the character's knowledge matches the player's knowledge, which
correct.
Is there's a queen, right? But I didn't.
Yes.
I don't recall.
She does not have sons or anything like that. No.
Yeah.
You think, just on balance, we're owed a single ally at this stage in the month, gentlemen and lady?
Thank you. The prince cults, like.
Oh, I mean, the cults are always trouble, but.
Right, but for us specifically, like, what did we do?
Well, at least I'm not paranoid and delusional now. I'm saying we're marked men in Thistlehold. Do we kill these guys?
I don't see any reason to let them live. Like, maybe this guy's going to have to give me a reason. What else you got to tell us?
Nothing for you, for the enemies of Erok. All that will come is darkness and terror.
You take this job far too seriously, and I will just stab him in the throat.
Oh my god!
He passes away, and his remaining companion kind of looks over in sort of shocked alarm at this. As this is happening, I think enough time has passed now that we'll have like the kind of the party from Glimmervan arrives. It is a number of men and women on horses, all armed, led by Demion. That's the sort of one of the village headmen who you've all interacted with in one way or another. Anton last time in Glimmervan and the others here, with his kind of like fairly bushy beard, and he rides up and kind of looks around. He sees Arkle. Arkle isn't fighting back against you anymore, Steo. He's just kind of panting and leaning against you, and he's kind of looking around, seeing the family off to one side. And he just kind of looks at you all, and this individual on the floor kind of like looking around desperately and says, "What the fuck is happening?"
An ambush, it would seem.
Demion kind of clambers down off his horse and strides forward. He looks around and then kind of double takes at Anton and says, "You?"
I mean, the wrong place, the wrong time.
Are these, he's kind of gesturing at the bodies scattered around, are these all responsible for the burning?
Yes.
Yep.
He kind of glances over at Arkle and his family. Arkle's still kind of heaving for breath. He looks over at Arkle's mother and says, "Are they telling the truth?" She kind of nods and says, "Yes, they saved us. They saved us. They saved my children. The young man, the young and the older man over there, and the changeling. They saved my children." Damian kind of nods slowly and takes it all in, and goes, "All right. Here's what's happening, because I know for damn sure that these men and women did not come for Arkle and his family. Am I wrong?"
They came for us. We had no idea. Did you see them coming through town?
Clearly not, or I would have ridden to warn you. Here's what's happening. You are concluding your business with Arkle now. I am taking this remaining individual, and they hang in the morning. And then the 5 of you are leaving my town and not coming back without a damn good reason.
That's understandable.
That suits us.
All right, then. I'm going to take Arkle and his family back to Glimmervan. Conclude your business and be quick about it. He wanders over kind of towards the farm gate with the others who are kind of like looking over their shoulders, kind of watching you. They've dragged the other individual off. He's kind of like tussling with them, but to no avail.
I mean, where do we go? Castor?
Is Arco still with us, or is he leaving with the?
Yeah, he's kind of like stood with Steo and just kind of like still panting for breath.
I presume the implication here is that we need to finish up asking him things.
Yeah,
real quick. Okay. So I will go over and say we're really sorry that this has happened. We need to know about Anadea. You told me what kind of a person she is, but what was she involved in? Do you know?
I couldn't say for sure. She had all these ideas. She talked of these heretical teachings of Sarvola and Davakar. She talked of wanting to talk to people, wanting to help people. You know the people I mean. She spoke of the Iron Pact. I would try and find them.
Okay.
I am not ungrateful for you having defended my family and my brothers and sisters and mother.
We didn't mean to, but we brought this on you. I'm so sorry.
Please, just leave.
Before we go, I might just like kind of whisper to Steo maybe about I mean, I don't really know what's gone on here, but Steo, this farmhouse is burned down, and it does seem like it's because of us, even if we didn't do it. Could we spare collectively some of our money to assist with the rebuilding?
I was just thinking of it. Everyone who got a cut from the Copper Crown, I suggest you loosen your purse strings. We'll give it to the sheriff on the way out, I imagine.
The headman. Yeah. How much are you giving?
I think I'll put 10 thaler in.
1 Orteg.
Don't spend it all in one place.
I was thinking similar to what Steve said.
Sure.
Yeah,
that's
I'll
great. Yeah,
10 thaler sounds good to me.
Okay. Sorry. No, go ahead.
I wasn't a part of the Copper Crown, but how much was I paid for my expedition into?
Oh God, that's a good question.
Shillings.
And you also had the bonus, didn't you? Because you had like I want to say like it was like a bird statue or something like that you got assigned.
I think it was a gold vase that was mysteriously left on my bedroll, and porcelain meerkat wine carafe.
Sure, something like that. And then also the pay, which will have been, significant because spoilers, skip forward about 30 seconds, folks, if you haven't watched Fetters of Stone and you're thinking of doing so. And do so. It's a good little series. But your benefactor survived, and therefore you were paid. So I can't calculate it right now, but let's just say that 10 thaler doesn't eliminate it. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like if you wanted to put in the same amount, you'll come away with a fair amount of money still.
I will say I'll put in X amount, X to be determined at a separate point.
Sure. Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
I've got 5 thaler to my name, and they can have 2 of them.
Sure. Demion kind of like takes the money that you place, and he kind of turns to Arkle as he does so and shows him the amount. And Arkle nods, and Demian takes it and puts it into one of his pockets and says, Well, that'll be a start. We appreciate that. I know you're not bad folk, but you bring an ill wind with you. Go on. I'm sure they'll host you at Jackad's Heart. Be careful on the road.
Thank you.
I guess it's
Your horses are brought. I think you guys walked from Glimmervan to the farmhouse, didn't you? So, and Tom's horse, you have your horses, and you are now leaving Glimmervan, I assume, unless you want to defy Demian's declaration in some way.
No, I don't think
No.
so.
Well, I mean, obviously, like I know we took this side expedition to get out of Thistlehold for a couple of days. You have achieved that. If you want to spend more time out of Thistlehold, it's entirely up to you. Obviously, I would suggest that if you wanted to spend longer, then Jackad's Heart is probably the best place to do it. You have free board there, free food and board forever, basically. So that would be an option.
If I've understood the timing of things right, we're essentially riding out of Glimmervan in the middle of the night and would arrive at Jackad's Heart sometime around dawn.
Before dawn. It would be before dawn. It's about 2 or 3 hours ride away. And it's probably about 10 o'clock now in the nighttime.
Shall we have a conversation on horseback on our way to Jackad's?
Absolutely. Let's do that. Because, let's do that.
So, we're marked men in Thistlehold.
Yes,
do we go to Castor?
Sorry to interrupt. It is very much worth saying, by the way, that obviously Alindra recognized that. Even if Alindra hasn't talked about it, like the others of you definitely know who Erok is. So if Alindra joining the dots would not be a full conversation to be had, but it's up to you guys.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. Like I know about the cults, but I don't know about the cults enough to buy clemency.
I don't understand why we're on a list. Who the prince is, why the cults are involved, how the cults got Erok involved to go after. I mean, how common is it for people in Mother Mahira's agency to hunt down other people from Mother Mahira's agency?
It's very and thoroughly against the rules of Mother Mahira's agency.
Speaking as someone who has only recently made your acquaintance, you do talk about the church and heresies an awful lot, and I am here because you've brought down threat of violence from another member of Mother Mahira's agency. So I wouldn't say it's common, but you folks do seem to attract it.
That wasn't agency business. That was personal.
We've spent the last week rooting out or trying to root out corruption in Thistlehold. I mean, it seems natural that cults are going to come after us one way or another. We've done enough to anger various different cults. The thing is, the cults are who we're trying to root out. It doesn't surprise me. What surprises me is that the agency themselves act on the
business.
If someone from the agency, someone high enough, not just one person, Serex is defending some kind of weird, I don't know if you could call it a cult, but certainly something which does not have Thistlehold's best interests at heart. And
personality.
I mean, I'm still not convinced that whatever Serex is involved in is necessarily connected to the sinkhole and to Anadea.
I agree, but it's still something that shouldn't be happening and is happening. And now this other thing, frankly, I mean, the agency has failed us absolutely, and it seems to be corrupt through and through, one way or another.
Now, you don't have proof that Serex is directly involved, though.
We don't have proof that the hit was called by the agency either. This could have been off duty, just like our work was off duty. Maybe we should follow Arkle's advice and try and find the pact. Not that they're easy to find.
That we spoke to outside of the city gates, the north gate.
Yeah.
Incidentally, like if Erok, just so you know, if Erok cults are outlawed, so if there's any sense of this Erok leading or taking part in any kind of cult activity, which would be very much frowned on by Mother Mahira's agency as well, then like addressing him directly on the matter would not be frowned on by either the law or the agency. So just so you know, like, you know.
Is Erok,
and also
like,
you don't get the impression he's very liked.
Yeah, is he a storied fighter either? Or are we dealing with kind of Serexatio tier?
He might have been when he was a lot younger, but he's at least in his 70s now. And he's more there as someone who's experienced and stuff. From all the impression you've all got, none of you have really interacted with him. People tend to avoid him. Apart from the people under his purview, like the younger members who tend to kind of like follow him around with an odd sense of devotion. But you've never seen him interact with other people in the agency in any positive light. And Urfons has definitely referred to him in less than glowing fashion.
Right. So, maybe we go back to Thistlehold. Because I've got a little cult of my own I can ask some favors from. They're called the Town Guard.
I feel like other senior figures in the agency need to know. I don't know how much hope I hold out that they will come down on our side. We don't know how high this goes. But I feel like if we can get a message to Urfons, to Mahira, to someone there, maybe we can at least stop the sellswords. I don't know what we do about the cultists, but at least if we can take the sellswords away from them, we can make the town be as safe as we can for ourselves. You know, steer clear of Serexatio.
I think we could really benefit from finding this Erok on his own. He must have some connection to this prince and to these cults. And if we can question him ourselves, maybe we can get that information out of him. If we just take it to the guards, who knows what will happen?
Well, we'll take it to the agency first, I think. We need to at least tell Urfons what's going on.
The agency are the last people we should tell. They have Serex there who hates us and he's a major figure in the agency. This Erok as well, who knows? I mean, I think we trust Urfons, but the rest of the agency.
Erok's running a cult on the side. You get your ring taken off you for that. You get thrown out to Darkmoor.
Okay.
Like that's
and he hasn't.
Big eye illegal.
Is the agency so incompetent that they don't know one of their members is running a cult from inside it? Like, or are they hiding it? In either case, we should not take this to the agency.
Okay.
I've heard Urfons talk about this lad, not in the kindest of terms. He is not well liked. We can use, like, Mother Mahir is just like the Church of Prios. It's not one entity. And we have allies there too. And we have allies in the guard if we need them. You're right. Maybe that's too chaotic for what we need. But I think the agency, at least Urfons, like, he owes us his life and we owe him ours.
That's right. If you're wrong, you're going to earn yourselves a reputation in the agency for, I don't know, harassing senior members.
Frank, I cannot imagine myself staying in the agency. 2 of the senior members there tried to kill me. Why would I ever stay there? I would rather burn the agency entirely to the ground than go and continue working for them. They
if
are trying
I recall
to
correctly, didn't they basically have to bribe you to join them?
Yeah, for this
not even
reason.
Bribe, strong arm, extort, you could say.
Without putting too fine a point on it, without the agency, I don't have an awful lot of things to do with my life.
Yeah.
How about this? How about this, right? We go to Jackad's Heart. I'm tired. We will need sleep by the time that we get there. We take a few hours. We sleep during the day. We regroup. We go back to Thistlehold in the evening. Now, I don't know what kind of contacts that we can pull, town guard, Earthons, someone, but we quietly find out where Erok lives. We go there in the middle of the night. We take him. We interrogate him. And if we don't get the answers that we want, we string him up on a town square somewhere. And then we can talk to the agency.
I like that thinking, Alindra. I would add that as of this moment in time, Eric has no reason to believe that we're alive.
Exactly.
He probably thinks that we are dead at this very moment in time. And therefore, if we were to do what you suggest and interrogate him, right now is when we have the element of surprise, and we might lose that by waiting a day, because he probably will expect his men to have reported in that time.
I don't really want to ride into Thistlehold in daylight. I want to take a few hours and get there in the evening.
Yeah.
Okay, so we go to Jackad's Heart, and then sorry, hang on a minute, Matt. What's the earliest that we could be in Thistlehold by?
I mean, if you assuming that you've slept at Jackad's Heart or otherwise.
Just otherwise for the time being.
Otherwise, it's about I'd say an 8-hour ride. If you're middle of the night, you can't push your horses, okay. So it's about an 8-hour ride to Thistlehold, I'd say.
Okay.
So if it's we're in autumn. Yeah, so like if we're 10 o'clock at night, then we're going to get there 6 in the morning if we go all the way there.
Oh, yeah. let's sleep it off. I need a pint.
Yeah,
you absolutely could stay at Jackad's Heart and then arrive in the evening of the next day. If you see what I mean,
we need the rest, and we need to catch him when he's asleep and off his guard. So we need to and ideally, it will be nice to get into the town unnoticed as much as possible, right? Quietly.
Yeah, I can swing late entry, maybe.
Okay, that all seems good to me, and that sounds like a plan we're all comfortable with. So we ride to Jackad's Heart, sleep there the night and through the day, have a hearty meals and the like, yeah, and then proceed on to Thistlehold in the evening and find Erok and maybe talk to Earthons, maybe talk to the city guard. That's the general plan, right? Okay. Is there anything up until arriving back at Thistlehold that you want to roleplay?
I will at some point in the evening ask Father Anton for some if he has anything to help with this horrible cough I've had since we left the farmhouse.
Sure. Also, we should probably do some of the old medicus rolls, right? We should probably handle that. I think the only people who are injured are Elindra. Oh no, because you had the smoke inhalation as well. Well, let's handle this one by one then. So, Steo, I believe you have taken some damage.
Yeah, but I'm actually not super healthy.
Okay. Well, let's have Steo do all his let's have Anton do all his medicus rolls first. Sorry. So let's have assuming you want to attend to everyone. Yeah. So let's have a roll for Steo.
Do I make that or not? Is it cunning that I roll for this? Yeah, it is. Sorry, Steo, I don't make that.
You know what? So let's scratch all that, because at Jackad's Heart, at some point during the next day, as you all kind of sat back, bellies full of the wonderful food there, and kind of knowing you're in a place that's pretty damn safe, particularly when the gates to it are closed. At some point during that, Mangold is going to come into the tavern, maybe the first time we've actually seen him in there, and he's kind of look around a bit surreptitiously and place a little wooden tumbler in front of each of you that has a kind of slightly warm like there's an odor of warmth and like sweetness to the liquid within, and I mean anyone who will naturally drink of it because they probably know what it is for the most part can have a D10's worth of toughness back, and then on top of that, I'd say that at some point Mangold is going to find it within his capacity to sneak another full bottle of Water of the Dusk to Anton.
Holy fudge,
And
we're saved!
A full bottle has 10 doses in.
Just get me a machete. We're going right to the middle of the forest right now.
Would people with corruption also feel slightly less corrupted?
Oh yeah, it reduces your corruption, your permanent corruption by 1, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah.
I think so, doesn't it, Mike? You've got the stuff.
Yeah, it certainly does, because I think we specifically saved FNA for like 4 more turns due to that.
Yeah, it's good shit. Yeah, and you know, Anton, from kind of studying the place, the shrine doesn't indeed appear to be producing the water again, but in very slow, limited quantities. So you imagine that this bottle that Mangold's given you probably is like about half of what it has produced since you were last here in Jackhad's Heart.
Such a good friend.
You suspect that the is it Tandrag and Cauldron and Tandrag, the couple who run the place, you suspect they kind of know that something's up, given all the, like, a load of renewed vegetation and flowers have grown up around the shrine, but you're pretty sure they haven't really pressed the issue with Mangold yet, but they're kind of, you get in sense they're kind of anticipating a little bit that perhaps their property will become pilgrimage central in the next year or so.
Sure. Well, I might take the opportunity to give Mangold a bit of a blessing and maybe say a prayer with him and stuff like that before.
He has no idea what a prayer is broadly, but like he will certainly be happy to receive some kind of blessing off you.
Sure.
Yeah. So with that, is everyone sufficiently healed?
I rolled a 10.
Yeah. So that nicely avoided all the healing rolls, and I felt it was appropriate as well. I think Mangold would like to share the bounty of the shrine with you. So okay. So yeah, sorry, as we said, Aaron, sorry, did you say that you wanted to talk to Anton?
No, that was basically me asking for a Medicus roll.
Asking to be healed, but
this
you're fine
mysterious
now.
water has
Absolutely.
fixed my cough.
The only other thing I'd say is that partway on the journey to Jackhad's Heart, Sam, Ascarai definitely started feeling a little bit nauseous again and had to kind of lean over the side of his horse and vomit up. You were slightly alarmed and disgusted to see that in amongst the vomit was a number of wriggling larvae.
Ugh.
I hate that ability.
It's nasty stuff.
Okay.
So, yeah, sorry. Is there any other roleplay we want to do before we arrive back at Thistlehold in kind of middle of the evening?
Maybe we should get the plan 100% correct.
Like, who
Maybe
you're going to
just
go to first?
Yeah,
Go
because
for it. So this will be on the ride from Jackhad's Heart, I guess, now that after you're healed and full and well, and Aaron probably feeling better than you have in months.
So, given that the cults probably haven't marked you yet, Aaron, I think you might be our number one man to liaise with the... at least get us a meeting with our funds in a quiet location if we're going that direction.
We
Look,
trust
I know
our
our-
funds, right? We
trust our
to
funds.
be involved in this.
With my life, I also know he's not the biggest fan of our new culty friend,
Erok.
I suppose he might at least know where he lives or where we can find him.
Yeah.
Do you think he'll come with me easily, or do I need to say something's happened, or...
I'd say give him a hint that there's a free drink in it, and it's probably quite an important free drink.
Does it make sense for Aaron to mention you?
Yes, certainly.
maybe not say why, but say that it's on behalf of Steo and Anton and Ascarai.
We need a chat. Look, we might not even catch him. It'll be pretty late when we get in. He might be out somewhere. But if the one person here who is 100% safe to walk around that agency is Aaron right now.
Agreed.
I mean, apart from Serix, but yeah, absolutely. Well, you don't get the impression he'd have hurt you. Just
He'll have calmed down by now, surely.
there's different degrees of hurt. So yeah, so is the plan then? So where are we asking to meet Irfons, which I'm guessing is where the other four of you are going to lurk until Aaron tries to bring him back.
Is there some kind of convenient, like, are we waiting outside the kind of town?
No, I think
outside the gates, or
no, I think we got to go in because eventually those gates close and it gets difficult to get in.
Okay, so we need somewhere to lie low in town. We need a not pub.
I have a pub. It was my old local prior to starting drinking at the Witch and Familiar. And I'm desperately searching for my map of thing because I have it actually written down.
Because I said not pub, like a private place.
I thought you meant not pub as in a pub that we don't always go to. The Rose Garden, which is in basically the far west. Not actually a million miles away from the Witch and Familiar, basically one block up.
Okay.
I was going to suggest, does the Hall of Knights have like private conference rooms or anything? Like
we dial them on the spider.
I mean, it doesn't have private conference. It has chambers. You can close the door and be kind of, little meeting chambers. Yeah. One or two of them. It's not like a conference center.
No.
But yeah, absolutely. And you can bring whoever you want in.
And then there'll be no observers and no one to spread rumors about your...
There might be other knights there who can then spread rumors when they see you go in. But like...
That's true.
Erok is no knight. You know that for sure. He would not be able to get in there on his own. Serixatio would, but also never would.
We'll be drunk by the time we get into town also.
Yes.
I think the Hall of Knights feels like the most discreet place. For
sure.
That is a sentence I never thought I'd hear from any person.
So that sounds like a plan then. So if Aaron takes you all there first, because obviously you have to then leave and go find Irfons.
Yeah.
You take you proceed to the town. It's a quiet evening in Thistlehold, and you proceed through the town to the Hall of Knights, which is in that kind of like town hall style structure, sort of near the center of town. And you proceed on through. Again, you go past the large hall area with its flaming hearth and the heraldry on the walls. You find yourself in a small stone chamber on the side. There were a couple more nobles this time who kind of look over at the group of you curiously, but don't really say anything. One of them kind of, as you walk in, Aaron kind of says "Da," and kind of gives a curious look to the blade at your side now. But nothing other than that. You're kind of barely tolerated in there, honestly. And you're led to a small chamber, kind of undecorated, quite a nice wooden table. And there, I guess, Aaron has to leave you.
Yeah.
Okay. Aaron, where are you starting your search for Irfons?
I think before I left, I probably would have asked the group who know him quite well where they think he might be.
He literally lives at the agency, so...
Then the agency is my best bet.
Okay. You walk into the agency, again, unremarked upon. It's kind of the middle of the evening. There are various people around in the common room. There are upper chambers as well, where more senior members tend to be. Let's just have a roll of the dice. Yes. One of the very first people you see in the common room, which you're also heartened to see does not have Serixatio in, is Irfons, who is there kind of chatting to another couple of younger adventurers, presumably who he's taken under his wing now that this initial group has sort of leveled up a bit. And he kind of glances round and kind of notes that you're there, but carries on with his conversation. You're not his novice after all.
No. I will. I don't. Now, this is fairly important, so I think I will approach and sort of hover nearby until he notices me.
He definitely, you don't actually think he seems to clock you at first. He's just kind of talking away. He has that, you're kind of unfamiliar mostly with Earthons, but you've noted him as, the goblin who walks around, and he's got a bit of a strut in his step, and he seems to know what he's doing and be very confident. And he carries around with him a far too long, silverish, slightly shimmering and glittering sword that almost seems kind of comically huge strapped to his back, but clearly after a minute or so he sends kind of waves them away off to the rudimentary bar at the side of the common room with a flick of his hand, and turns his head and kind of looks up at you. He'd have to look up at you anyway, but he's sat down, so even more so, and says, "Lord Dar."
I'm very sorry to interrupt you, Fons, but I was wondering if I could have a quiet word.
Too quiet for the common room?
Yes, preferably.
All right, let's take a walk. He
Thank you.
hops down off the bench, picks up his sword and straps it to his back. As always, it kind of almost nearly clinks as it hits the ground at various places as he bounds down the steps out of Mother Mahira's agency and starts walking around the square, which I believe it's the Antiques Plaza it's in, right? I believe.
I think so.
Yes, in the center of town. Yes, that's right. It's the Antiques Plaza. He said, not sure now. Where's the agency?
I just looked it up on the map.
It is, yeah.
It's just south of the Antique Plaza.
Yeah, and he starts kind of walking around. Most of the stores have been taken down for the day, but he's kind of weaving between them enough that you've got distance between you and other people. And he's just kind of walking along with you slowly, expectantly.
Can I start sort of guiding the walk in the direction of the Hall of Knights?
Yeah, because it's not too far away, right?
I don't think
Is
so.
it even in the Antiques Plaza? Yes, it is. The town seat is in the Antiques Plaza, so it's not far away at all.
That's great.
He says, "Are we? I'm not really a knight."
No, and many would argue neither am I, but if you are with me, they will tolerate the both of us.
All right. Well, Lord Dar, I am flattered, though not particularly interested, unless we are going for another purpose.
I've come on behalf of Stio.
Oh.
For reasons he could not come himself.
All right. Well, then let's go talk to them in the Hall of Knights. He wanders along beside you, wanders into the entrance, kind of, unless you're saying anything or doing anything else. He just follows behind you and walks into that room with you. Presumably the other four are still there, kind of waiting around. Let's have a nice little snapshot of what them waiting around looks like. Why don't we go around one by one and you tell me what, there are chairs and there's a doorway and some windows and a little fire. How are you all waiting in there? Steel, let's go with you first.
I am being a spicy edgelord and standing in the corner, probably quite close to the fire, but definitely with my back to two walls.
Sure. Askarai.
I probably sat down, maybe messing with some arrows, trying to fix one up that got slightly broken in the fight. Just watching the door.
I think I'll be sitting, watching the doorway. Ready to respond if somebody comes in, but probably not really
swarm
talking.
Of cultists pile in. Yeah,
exactly.
Walking with Eric, blades drawn.
Anton.
Probably just writing some notes, reading some notes that I've made before, perhaps.
Sure,
updating
absolutely.
my journal.
So as you're doing this, Aaron and Irfon, like the door opens, Aaron walks in alongside Irfon's. Any of you who are familiar with Irfon's will, the others probably don't, but the three of you will notice like Irfon's releasing the grip on the pommel of it, on the handle of his sword, and visibly relaxing and turning around and saying, "All right." He wanders over to the fire and it is a cold autumn night and wet and nasty. Starts warming himself and says, "I'm all ears."
I close the door very firmly behind me and say, I'm my dear apologies for not explaining things, but yes.
Hey,
That-
Earphones. Did you know Eroc's running a cult?
Yes, that.
You're on
muted.
mute.
You muted it,
The shocked
Alphonse.
silence is dramatic.
Can you say that again?
Yeah, Eroc. He's got a bit of a side job running a cult. We got ambushed by them in Glimmervale.
And hopefully, as far as he knows, these four are no longer with us. Hence,
Can
why
you maybe just tell me how you know this?
We find one of Mahera's boys in among a group of a strike force sent to kill us by burning down a farmhouse where we were receiving lodgings.
I think I recognised a few of them. I think he sent a posse.
Most of them are Mahera's.
Describe a couple of them to me.
Alindra?
You can feel free
I
to
do so,
give the
yes.
descriptions. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. That expedition was co-signed out to go deal with an issue to the west that Eroc had apparently received payment for.
Oh, so it was a mark then.
So
Not on you. He
that's
falsified
who
the information. Or he
Ooh,
must have done.
Spicy.
You can find one of them strung up in Glimmervan.
You realise how serious this is.
Yeah, the thing is that he's not the only cultist who we've apparently pissed off in the last couple of weeks, and we are now apparently marked men for all the cults in Thistlehold, which
So
apparently is a number.
he sent some of his novices after you. I'm assuming they're all now dead.
Yep.
So they have not reported back to him.
correct.
Well, time is of the essence then, wouldn't you say? Before he realises they botched the job.
Yep, that's
Yes,
why we're here.
indeed.
That's why we're talking to you.
All right, I know where he lives. Come with me.
Let's do it.
And he turns and opens the door and walks out.
I'll kind of gesture for everyone to follow him and then kind of get limber up as much as I can at my age and head out.
As you sort of start trudging through the streets, anyone who's kind of like flush with Earphons will hear him kind of like muttering under his breath, like Blight Mark's bastard. I knew there was something wrong with him. And as you're marching through the streets, you march kind of over to the east side of the city. Is anyone kind of talking to each other, asking Earphons anything? Earphons is just heading, very directly there.
I think I'm in business mode.
Yeah. I had imagined this was going to be us getting an address and sneaking into a house, but this Earphons clearly has something in mind, and I'm just going with that. Like,
Earphons is definitely like the sense you get, and the others know. Earphons is, for want of a better term, like he's a company goblin. Like he is very clearly believes in the agency, and like something like this, you get the sense is something he would take very personally.
we're about to attend a disciplinary meeting.
And for those, for anyone unfamiliar out there, or for I guess Stephen, Earphon's disciplinary meetings tend to end in one way. So You're marching through the streets until you reach kind of a small open. It's not dissimilar actually, and I don't want it. This isn't a chicken in a cage, but it's not dissimilar to the buildings that the sellswords of the sun were in. It's one of those. Thistlehold is full of them, like little backyard areas that are like a little circular open alleyway that leads off to a number of buildings. And he marches into one that's quite similar, but not for any clue reason, but quite similar in a vibe to that. And he just stops in front of a relatively slightly ramshackle older building, for Thistlehold at least, with a couple of floors, and he kind of like looks up at it, paces around a little bit, looks around the side. It's flush with other buildings. There's nothing particularly remarkable about it, and he takes, unless someone is going to stop him or say something, he is taking very firm and purposeful steps towards the front door.
I'm not stopping him.
Well, then he steps up to it and thumps on it quite loudly and takes a few steps back.
I think I'd like to try and position, if possible, shepherd the group into a situation where he'll see us immediately when he opens the door, but a curtain twitcher might not be able to get a good read on how many people are there.
Sure, absolutely. So kind of lurking to the sides a little bit. Is that what you're doing?
Yeah. So
Okay.
he can see us like
Sure, yeah,
Christmas carolers, but
Yeah. Other people doing a similar thing? Kind of, Urfons is clearly placing himself in a position to be seen.
Maybe just casting my eyes around just to make sure no one's doing a runner out of the side door.
Yeah. That's absolutely cool. So just kind of like scattering yourselves around this area a little bit. Well, why doesn't everyone give me a discreet roll just to see how well you're doing? I'm just curious. I'm sure it won't matter for any purpose.
Of course not.
Just flat, no
Fail.
no adjustments.
Fail.
Oh, the loudest man in Thistlehold has succeeded.
So is it just Theo who succeeded?
I succeed.
And Aaron.
I failed just.
Yeah, so Theo and Aaron kind of vanish into the shadows on either side, but the other three of you are just kind of lurking, like not particularly, you got a distance from Urfons, but you're definitely there, you know what I mean? After about 30 seconds or so, that dreaded kind of curtain twitch that Theo mentioned happens, and you see kind of like some light come out from one of the upper floors, and there's like a click and a creak, and like the window swings open, and then like what would you call them, like the shutters, like a wooden shutter also creaks open, and you see a figure kind of look out, and anyone who's got a good angle, and I'll say it's Steo and Aaron, right, because they're the ones secreted away, you recognize it as indeed the kind of pockmarked face of Erok, quite an elderly sort of man now, kind of leaning slightly out and saying, who knocks at this time? Urfons looks around briefly and says, I do. Come down and talk, Eric. Is it agency business? You could say that. All right. I have old bones. I'll be there in but a moment. Shutters close. Window closes first. Shutters closed. Click, click. And about 10 seconds later, the sound of shattering glass from the other side of the building. Who is attempting, because they're like the building is flush to two other buildings, but on either side of those buildings there are like alleyway paths around to get to where presumably Erok has departed the building in violent fashion. Maybe not Erok, but something has. John?
I'm making the attempt for the alley.
Anyone who is making an attempt to kind of trying to run round, give me a quick roll, please.
Okay.
Yeah, I make it.
I got a 2.
Oh, 20.
Oh,
I failed.
failed. Steo?
Okay, 1 second.
If you are running for it.
I was going to say, I'm not. I want to go through the door.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's absolutely fine. Yeah, that's absolutely fine. Yeah. Okay, well, who did make it then? Sorry, it was Alindra and Anton, right? Okay. Well, let's say this makes it convenient, right? Aaron and Askarai, you dash towards one of those kind of like paths around the building, and you find your way blocked by like where just another building has just been rammed down. You know, it doesn't make any sense to have this dead end just curving around the side, but that's this'll hold for you. The architecture is somewhat obtuse. Elindra and Anton, you go around the other side, and as you kind of dodge round, you can kind of hear behind you that you hear Steo and Urfons kind of crashing their way into the front door of the building. But as you come around the side, you see that you two are probably the closest to catching what does indeed seem to be Erok, who, old bones or no, is making a hell of a play, running at top speed. He does have like a sword drawn, but he's holding it close to his body, and he is dashing down a cobble street at the absolute top speed those old bones can muster, which is a surprising amount. I'm assuming you're pelting after him.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes. Why don't you give me another quick roll, please? And this time, I think he has some headway on you here. So I'm going to say a -2. How about that?
Oh, I'm a
I don't
third
make
of his
it.
age.
I don't make it. I rolled a 16.
I need an 11. I get a 13.
Okay. So here's what happens. I take it, even though he's like gaining distance on you, you're not stopping the pursuit. You're going to kind of like try as best you can.
He's
Absolutely.
70.
Okay.
I'm in my early 20s. Like,
He's got a tire before you, right?
Yeah.
That's what you figure. Surely he doesn't get his energy from some kind of dark power. So you're kind of pelting down the cobbled streets of this. A lot of people kind of like watching past you. Have you drawn your weapons or anything, or at this point you're just focusing on?
No, because I want to focus on running, and my intention, if I get to him, is to kind of rugby tackle him. Really.
Sure, absolutely. So you're running down the street. He kind of dodges down, kind of glances over his shoulder, dodges into kind of a side passage that you know from experience leads to a number of those kind of open, slightly fenced off back alley areas, kind of part backyards, part like little thoroughfares between larger streets. He ducks through those, and you can kind of pelt up behind him. And as you do so, you know what? Why don't both of you give me a vigilant roll? And let's say it's a -1.
God.
19.
Don't make that. 19.
No. In that case, I'm going to say that all you hear as you come kind of flush with where he's turned off, you hear what may be some kind of cry or wail, or kind of some of alarm or despair or something like that come from ahead of you. But I'm assuming you're going to round that corner and just keep on going after him.
Yep.
Okay. You round the corner. You dash around. Like I said, there's some fences to kind of like dodge your way around and move through. You've lost sight of him, obviously, because he's turned off. And then you regain sight of him. And you know what? It's a lot easier to see him because he's flat on his back in the middle of the yard with some kind of throwing axe embedded into his skull.
Huh.
I'm assuming you kind of come to a halt because there's no more chase. And as you do so, can you both give me another vigilant roll at -3, please?
Oof.
No, 17. My
No,
word,
8.
I've rolled terribly.
18.
Okay. In that case, it takes you both by surprise when a voice, a clear, lilting voice, comes down at you from a nearby rooftop and says, "Well, you've drawn all kinds of attention onto yourselves, haven't you?" You look up and see the unmistakable features of one of the elves of Davakar as they're stood up on a rooftop nearby, one identical throwing axe in their hand, just very casually flipping it up into the air and catching it as they stare down at you. And I think we'll end the session there. So, thank you to all my wonderful players tonight. If anyone out there in chat has any questions or comments, please fling them in there and we'll talk about them before we jump off. In the meantime, promo, there's links down below, links to YouTube and Twitch. You're watching this on one of those platforms. Why not check out the other and, give us a follow and a subscribe and a like and a whatever. And a million bits. Give us a million bits. We'd love that. So yeah, check out those. Check out our social media, our Discord, and our Patreon are all linked down there as well. They all do what those things do. We run 3 regular weekly nights of tabletop roleplay. They're a little bit in flux at the moment, but generally speaking, Mondays is Shadows of Estrin with Johnny. That just started this last Monday. Wednesdays is Symbaroum here with me, and starting next week is a very special series, kind of World of Darkness anthology series, which I'll be running on Thursdays. They all start at 8 o'clock in the evening BST, or whatever that is, obviously in your local time zone. If you want more information on our new 2 series, Shadows of Estrin and World of Darkness, there's a lovely stream we did a couple of weeks ago that was kind of like talking about them and introducing them. The VOD for that is available over on our YouTube. We also run monthly one-shots on the first Saturday of every month. The next which is coming up very soon, in about a week and a half, on the Saturday the 6th of November. This wonderful guy to my right, whatever, that guy there, Chris, is going to be running Dune. Is it called Adventures in the Imperium? Is that the name of
the Imperium?
Adventures in the Imperium from Modiphius.
They wouldn't let us call it Spice World.
Spice? No, that's definitely trademarked. So yeah, there's that's going to be happening on Saturday the 6th of November. Tune in for that. That'll be fun. It will be. I just always sound sarcastic.
I hope so. Basically, It's probably going to be me lore dumping a load of Dune stuff because I've read it about 76 times, and you all sitting there liking it.
No problem. Mike just needs to shoot off, so he'll do that. But we'll catch him again next week. But yeah, comments and questions from chat, please, John, if we got them.
Okay, we've got Samuel's favorite moment of the episode.
So Aaron trying to be smooth and diplomatic. My apologies. I'm really sorry for not explaining everything. But Steve, hey, Earphons, did you know that Eric is running a cult? Yeah. lovely different approach from there. The thing, I guess, like Aaron's not familiar with Earphons, so he's like, sir, we need to discuss this. Like, they fought and died with Earphons. They're like, Eric, cult. Earphons like, right.
Yeah, Aaron's starting to strike me as kind of C-3PO with like a plasma cannon kind of vibe going on. Very polite and well-meaning, but like rocking 20 damage a turn.
Yeah. So far. Well, Steve, next week the party is framed for murder.
I mean, the framed is pretty redundant there.
Yeah. But like the thing about it is, like, as long as you can, have people say without, like, cults are very frowned upon. They are extremely dangerous. Like Lassifore Nightpitch, the mayor of Thistlehold, like, if he hears of a cult, his reaction is, okay, who do we burn? So, like, as long as you have people to vouch for you that Erok murdering, not that you did murder him, but murdering him would be like, oh, well done, thank you.
We kind of saw it in Castor as well, like what happened, like why cults are dangerous and how cults get treated by people. Like,
absolutely. So, and you have history with cults, like you say in Castor. So, and also, of course, with the cults in the Copper Crown, right? So, cults bad in Symbaroum. And mostly in real life. 42, I fear the church or state would take over Jackad's heart as soon as they knew that the shrine was real. You are very possibly right there, 42. So perhaps that is a reason to keep it on the down low for now. What else we got, John?
Got an appeal from me.
Join our Patreon so we can buy Mike some functional dice.
Oh my God.
Look, let's not talk about Mike's dice in his absence. Never talk about someone's dice behind their back. So...
There were some.
Lowin, Anton should maybe check his connection with his god. Prios seems to be a bit angry with him. I mean, that's been the way all the way through, hasn't it? I don't know what it is with Mike's dice. I don't know. It is legitimately possible. I don't know what Mike uses for dice. I suspect he uses a die roller. And it is possible that the RNG in it is a bit screwy. I've had, that is possible. RNG is actually genuinely difficult to program.
That's why we need to buy him some dice.
Yeah. We'll buy him some dice for Christmas. We'll do that. Or we'll do a Kickstarter. A Patreon reward, even, we'll have it as a target on Patreon, like
just for one D20.
If you support us this much, we can get Mike a D20. From Mike himself, Anton Fail compilation 1080p, all botches, 3.5 hours. That sounds modest.
We had just a fantastic stream of just mocking. This new idea for a random table, 1d100, Anton failures, and mine. Wrath of the Warden, but every time Anton fails, it speeds up 5 minutes.
This is awful.
Yeah.
This is
We haven't even finished Wrath of the Warden yet, and even then it would be finished within 5 minutes.
Look, he comes out when he needs to. He did singularly feel some kind of nightmare wolf, so
I definitely think I would prefer Wrath of the Warden, but every time Anton botches, it's All-Star by Smash Mouth. That's just me. Yeah, we got anything else in there, John?
I think that's more or less it. Other than Samuel saying how much he's looking forward to the World of Darkness thing.
Yeah, I saw that. There we go. Can't wait to see how World of Darkness thing develops. What a project! Well, thank you for thinking so. I certainly hope so. We'll have a lot of promo going out this week for it, because I'm going to try and build up some, ahead of steam on the World of Darkness and White Wolf subreddits and places like that, because it's kind of a holy grail project, right? For World of Darkness, like all the different systems bouncing off each other. We'll see how it works out. I'm terrified, but also excited. So yes, it'll be good, and that should hopefully start next Thursday. There's a possibility it won't, because it's the kind of thing you want to get off on the right foot on, right? And if we don't feel fully prepped, maybe we'll delay it a bit. At the moment, that doesn't seem likely, but yeah. Cool. All right. Thank you to all my players. I normally say thank you to our stream manager, John, but thank you to our stream manager and player, John, this time as well, pulling double duty and doing it excellently. Thank you to everyone for watching and taking part. And we'll see you next week for more Wrath of the Warden, more Symbaroum. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.